Hi. Almost done with this year. This has been such a wild year. We've been doing school remotely for over a whole year now. That's crazy. Anyway, this next section is going to be a review of complex sentences and what makes them up. Okay? So, when we're going to talk about sentence construction, we need to make sure that we remember what a clause is. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a predicate. If a group of words does not contain both a subject and a predicate, then that group of words might be a phrase, but it's not a clause. An independent clause is a clause that can stand alone as a sentence, like this: I'll stay here. I can say I'll stay here, put a period there, and we're done. That's a sentence. If it cannot stand alone as a sentence, it's a dependent clause. If you go. If you go has a subject, you, and a predicate, go, but it is not independent because of the word if. Most sentences, most clauses rather, that are dependent are that way because they have a word that sort of weakens them, makes them have to lean on an independent clause. Okay? So if you put an independent clause with a dependent clause, then what you have is a complex sentence. That's different from a compound sentence because a compound sentence consists of two or more independent clauses joined together with a with a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon. The complex sentence again, at least one independent clause and at least one dependent clause put together. A dependent clause can act as an adverb, an adjective, or as a noun. And these different kinds of dependent clauses have different words that introduce them typically. An adverb clause, which is what we usually think of when we think of dependent clauses, begins with a subordinating conjunction. There are many subordinating conjunctions. In your book, I believe there is a list. An adverb begins with a an adverb clause begins with a subordinating conjunction. It may tell when, like after I finish. So after is your subordinating conjunction, I is your subject, finish is your predicate. Okay. It can tell wherever you want to go. Okay. So wherever is your subordinating conjunction. And if you take the subordinating conjunction off of a dependent clause, then you have an independent clause. You want to go. Okay? It may tell why, because she's tired. So the words after, wherever, because, and if are under what condition, if he likes it. Or it may give a concession, even though it's raining. We went walking to Tanya yesterday. Really, I did. And that's probably why my hair is looking funky today. I need to take care of that. Anyway, so those things, because they're adverbs because of what they do in the sentence. This clause tells when like an adverb or where like an adverb. Okay? An adjective clause acts like an adverb, an adjective. It describes a noun, and it usually will begin with a relative pronoun, the one that I want. So that is your relative pronoun, and that I want is the dependent conjunction. I'm half asleep. Okay, that I want is your adjective clause. Within this adjective clause, the word I is your subject, the word want is your predicate, and the word that is actually the direct object. Okay? Another relative pronoun is the word who, is the one we use for people. So the person who called me yesterday didn't identify himself. So who called me yesterday? That could be a question, and it could stand alone as a sentence. But within this complex sentence, who called me yesterday is a dependent clause, and it describes the one. Okay? So think about that also. Sometimes things look like they are, if you just look at that thing in itself, it might look like an independent clause. Like this. The boy we elected is going today. That dependent clause, we elected, does not have a relative pronoun. It's kind of understood. I could say the boy whom we elected, but in English many times we eliminate the relative pronoun just to make it easier and less awkward to say. The boy we elected is going today. We elected is acting like an adjective telling which boy is going. A noun clause acts as a subject, object, or complement. So I have an example of each one of those here. Whoever wins gets a prize. So whoever wins is the dependent clause that's acting like a noun, i.e. in this sentence, the subject. They want what I have. And this dependent clause, what I have, is acting like the direct object of the sentence. It's what they want. They want what I have. And that's why you lost. In this case, why you lost is the dependent clause acting like the predicate noun, which is a complement. Okay. A compound complex sentence has at least 3 clauses, at least one being dependent. If you join 3 clauses together, all of which are independent, you do not have a complex sentence. You still have a compound sentence. But if one of them is dependent, meaning it acts like an adjective, it acts like an adverb, it acts like a noun, then you have a complex sentence. And you need to pay attention to how you punctuate that. If you go, I'll stay here and no one will come in. So here we have at the beginning an adverb clause. If an adverb clause comes at the beginning of a sentence, it needs a comma after it. And then we have a compound sentence. I'll stay here and no one will come in. If you have a compound sentence that's joined with a coordinating conjunction, as it should be, then you need a comma before the coordinating conjunction. Okay? So these are the things that you need to know in order to participate well in tomorrow's meet and to do the sentences that I will assign thereafter. Happy writing.